All right, I'd like to call this August 21st, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Public Safety to order. First is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda for this morning contains the following items. Approval of minutes from July 17th, 2025 regular session. Approval of claims from July 25th, 2025 to August 8th, 2025. Approval of payroll from July 25th, 2025 and August 8th of 2025. Does any member of the board wish to have any one or more of these items removed from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? No, hearing none. Does any member of the board have any objections to any of the items on the consent agenda? No. Hearing none, the items on the consent agenda are approved. And now we'll go into the police department.
As you'll see, we remain at upscale from last year to this date. We're now 20.1%, which is a little bit lower than last month, where we were at 23.9. That's still a whole lot more calls per service per year with our current staffing. Crime totals, again, 25 this year to date. The other years are complete. I'm sorry, the other years are also year to date, so we're still trending a little bit toward the positive, but we're still mid-year, so we could go either way on it. Traffic stops have fallen off a little bit. That's again concurrent with some call volume and some training issues that we've had going this month. Didn't drop that precipitously. But what has continued to drop on us this month is the calls involving weapons. They continue to trend toward the downward slope. Adult arrests went up in July, and juvenile arrests went down in referrals. Again, not abnormally so for you either. This is the end of the period. There were 0 for hate crimes that were reported. And again, this remains consistent with what you've seen every month as our disturbance, intoxication, and maintenance around. Training highlights this month, 15 officers completed the state mandated online training courses. 15 officers completed the legal update from the prosecutor's office. 4 attended a drone tactics and operations course. 1 officer attended our own SWAT school. It's internal to the department. And then we had K9s with 13 in-service hours. Community engagement hours, as you see listed. The ones that have actually already happened, National Night Out took place a week or so ago. The Forever Friends is every month, but we did Touch a Truck, the 4th of July Parade, the outreach to the PALs, back to school celebrations, and CSS doing outreach and bike index training. Social workers, you can see the numbers there. They talked to new homeless mother off an overpass and got her connected to long-term housing. Assisted a client creating a resume, applying for jobs. Assisted a parent with getting some wraparound services, mental health and family therapy. That really helped that family out as a whole. They had some thank yous from a gentleman that reached out to say he successfully completed some substance abuse and mental health treatment. The outreach specialist working downtown worked successfully with downtown resource officer Thomas. Got an individual who was resistant to assistance, long time housing, and assisted clients with identification, food stamps, and getting some medication. These go into letters of appreciation, so we'll do that for a second. Okay, this is from Officer Bade. Just wanted to say thank you for helping with recruiting efforts at the Black Expo in Indianapolis. This is a call where Officer Wallace received compliments from the public. And this is the department as a whole concerning some incidents with Middle Way, where they were helping to protect the residents.
Move on to general business. I presented the department's budget last night to the city council. They didn't really vote on anything and didn't ask very many questions, so that's, I take that as a positive sign. Some of the things I touched on were the recruiting and retention, how the raises that were instituted last year, the take-home cards have really benefited that. We had our largest number of hiring officers earlier this year with 11. We've got 6 more we're doing backgrounds on currently. So with that 11, we cut it down to having 11 openings, and hopefully with the 6 we'll get. I don't know that we'll get all 6, but maybe we can chip away at it a little bit more. So that's trending in a good direction. And then focused on some of the stuff that was mentioned in the social worker report. We've had an open social worker position for 2 years probably, and we finally filled it a couple weeks ago. So we've got 4 social workers or mental health professionals. One of them is not a social worker, but a counselor. So that's helpful to the problems that we're dealing with today. So one of the other things I touched on was the 714 location, which is the site of hopefully what will be a new police department. That was slowed down because of actions by the legislature with property taxes, but we are moving forward with that. Currently looking for an architect to start doing some design work to hopefully help us with cost estimates. So as that project moves forward, we'll keep the board kind of updated on it as well. Personnel issues, I don't have the numbers. Do you have?
I'll get ready.
Okay. We'll come back to that. With purchases, there's nothing really to report. And the CERT vehicle deployment, we had none last month.
Personnel, we are currently sitting at 95 officers out of the 105 authorized. We have 1 in FTO in what's called phase 2. 3 of them have moved to solo patrol and finishing their last phase of field training. And we have 2 that are in phase 4, getting ready to jump to that shadow phase. And then we have 5 that go Monday for their physical agility test at the academy, and then we start the academy the following week after Labor Day. And we did interviews last week for a certified process, and we have 4 certified applicants that are moving the backgrounds right now.
Any sense of retirements?
We have at least 1 confirmed retirement coming up. He goes at the first of the year. He was a planned retirement. He put in his drop 3 years ago.
Okay.
So now, if you want to go on with promotion.
I think that was a Chris question.
I'm sorry. Go on with promotion now? or-
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, can I get a motion to promote Officer First Class Connor Bryan to Senior Police Officer effective August 18, 2025?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. Congratulations to him. And now, Fire Department.
Okay. Where we go with our year-to-date total is 3,885. As far as July goes, we had 512 calls for service. I don't have July up here. But of the 512 calls for July, 214 were rescue and EMS, and 129 were false alarms. So for July, we're down 9% from 2024, but up 34% from 2020 as far as July call volume. So here we have the IU, and for July's calls, they were just a little over 1% of the overall call volume, just 49 calls on campus. But of those, 33 were false alarms. You know, which are always in 6 EMS calls. In July of 2024, there were only 27 calls, so we're up 45% from last year. In 2020, there were 25, so we're up 49% on campus during July in 5 years. And then year to date, IU is, like I said, 11.5% of our runs. Response times goals, again, blue is where we want to be. And this is for the response times for the apparatus to actually get on scene. All responses on our heat map for July. Red spots are where we're going most often. So we have Redbud Hills on the southeast side, Beltrace, the community, and the 10th Street, Wheeler, and is on West 3rd, and Crawford's on the southernmost red spot there. So, but you can see pretty soon we'll have a lot more as we go up the extension, because as Greeks houses move in and get filled up, then we'll be going there more often. Just saying, yeah. And then inspection activity. So right now we are at just 30% of our goal for the year, and 2250 is like that's where we love to be. However, we are not. And we talk about highest risk occupancies within the city, so it's not like we're going to go to a lot more, but these are the ones that we're actually tracking. We want to get to. And then community engagement for July versus where we were, in 2024. In May, we started tracking the inspectors' community outreach as well. Like I said, in July, they really moved into better tracking gearing for the types of calls, because every community contact they make does not necessarily qualify for outreach. You're not doing education and why are we doing what we're doing. And our school visits will certainly pick up here as school starts for community engagement. I will say, as far as our community engagement officer, he spent a lot of time in this last month out at the Novo, where Catalan used to be, fire extinguisher training, wanted all their employees to go through it. So it was, 9 to 11 in the morning and, 8 to 10 at night, just what they wanted to get all their shifts. But that was a big thing. Training division activity, like I said, high month. July's been one of our slowest months so far. But they did finish their, like I said, the flashover chamber, the train the trainer. We did purchase and train operations on the new lithium battery extinguishers. They have a video out with that, which it just basically creates this big sludge that goes over the battery to keep it, to smother it, basically. It's interesting. So another fire certification class. Being on campus before the students move in, and then an upcoming training session that they will look at with autism, rocks and rolls. And our hours for training have gone down too, since we don't have any recruits in session right now. 2 new people are scheduled. September 15th is their start date, and that will put us at fully staffed in September. MIH activities, as you can see there, we put in 9 car seats. And they actually gave 2 away, because they do have that state program, so they can actually give needy families car seats. 12.2 visits per patient, and 12 different services. When we talk about services, the shelter, community, housing center, food or utilities, referrals, so those are the kind of services they engaged in. We had the 9 different agencies that provided those services. Referrals from fire, Stride, community members, township trustees, and the hospital case management. So we had some wins, with their impact, so they worked several, walking, walks and just different public events, providing first aid, lightweight wheelchair to someone, so that was their way to get around, and now they can do that. And then they had up someone who thanked them for getting involved, and so they didn't have long-term hospitalization, so all good things.
Do you know about the program at the library, we can get canes and wheelchairs and things
Mall,
like that?
yes. Mall is something they help a lot with that, and actually Tuesday afternoon, one of our people staffed that,
Mhm.
and that also helps us with the, access so that they can go on Thursday and pick up stuff, yeah, so they are out
I do
there,
that.
yeah. But it's good for walkers, or like
Yeah.
you said, canes, just different things as a lending library, so great idea, and they're involved with that. Notes of appreciation, Chief Litwin, with the visitor, young visitor Peyton. He was very excited about the tour. Yeah. Yeah, well. Is that your balloon that's on there? That's not your color, is it? And then, so he was excited for the visit, and Chief Litwin provided it.
Have tacos about going to the fire station and the police department.
And then also, Amber, one of our MIHs, she's been a representative at the Black Expo for the last 3 years, ever since the city started going HR. This is her 3rd year, representing us there. And so Mr. Johnson, wrote her a lovely letter. Any questions on anything I presented thus far? Okay, seeing none.
General business, fire also presented budgets last night and appeared to go well. There were some pertinent questions and it seemed like it was received well, so I guess we're in similar anticipation of no issues with our numbers that we sent over. Personnel, we currently have 2 off on work comp. One of those we anticipate being short term. One's that will probably be off for the rest of the year. 2 off on FMLA, and as mentioned earlier, we're on track to hire 2 in September. That'll bring us 40 staff, so that's a nice landmark we're looking forward to. And then lastly, recently, our administrative assistant position became vacant, so we're actively seeking out a replacement for that and hope to have that filled soon. Regarding expenses, kind of a win we encountered recently, some of the pending expenses that you've seen, one's for an aerial truck, one's for a fire engine. They have very long delivery times of years. Of course, they're expensive, and we were able to secure some modifications of those contracts to make them stock units. So it comes at a lower price and quicker delivery time. So those are both approved recently, and we'll have those trucks probably built this year instead of way out in the future. So that was a nice change. As previously declared, our grant funded GMC train for the MIH division expansion has arrived, and we have that now, so that'll be on the street, serve our team of 2 to see clients with. And then lastly, bond project updates. Station 3 is slated to be done technically with the contractors, should be September 12th. We'll need a little time to move in, but that's right around the corner. We'll have an open house for that, so Station 3 will be back in service soon.
Which one is station 3, I'm sorry?
Campus.
Okay,
Yep. So that's been working on for a while now, and it's just about done.
it needed some.
It needed it, yeah. And then the operations center, if you ever by there, there's dirt moving, it's moving along. Anticipating that to be done August of next year. So that is the remainder of the expenditures. Questions?
Let Barbara and walk around downtown a lot. And I really appreciate seeing the firefighters downtown on 4th Street engaging a lot with public, and it's a nice thing to see.
Agreed. They do a good job with that. On a nice day, the bay doors are open. They're usually down there ready to show people trucks, and
They were playing basketball one night, they wouldn't, I think when they saw me, they put the ball away, and I said, no, can I join you?
Playing on the tube, like
We,
that.
yeah,
They were from Station 3, by the way.
oh, yeah, well, they're housed there, right? Yeah.
That was an exercise session.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Time to have.
I knew this was the time to bring that up.
Yes, appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we leave it.
We had hand-eye coordination training session.
That's right. It looks like basketball. It's not.
It's team building, literally.
They do swimming in the basement at one station.
Okay. We did swimming in our basement.
Yes.
We got rid of it.
Yeah.
All right, well, any old business? And new business?
You betcha.
That's what I figured.
So, I had shared with the board, proposed amendments to our standards. And this is largely reflected by the fact that we now have a merit system for the fire department, which handles a lot of our obligations statutorily. So having now established a merit system, it makes sense for us to go in and change our standards so that it doesn't show that we're still trying to do things for the fire department that the merit system does for the hiring, promotion, and discipline of their members. So largely, when you go through and see the red line that I shared with you, you simply see me peeling out that information, those sections where we were working with the fire department. But while making those changes, I made a couple of other changes, and what you have before you is that final version of what I shared with you individually in emails. I did make one change just a minute ago. It's not reflected in your documents, and that is on page 2 of the document in B5, talking about the secretary of the board, because our secretary is no longer going to be of the legal department, it's going to be somebody from the police department. So that's not a statutory or local ordinance requirement, that's just something that is said in our standards. Now that we're making that change, I've reflected that change as well in our standards. Going through a couple of the other things that I've changed, just to give you a quick explanation, looking at regular meetings right below on that same page, page 2 under C, we used to say, or we currently say, shall hold at least one regular meeting or one meeting. We don't always do that. Sometimes we can't meet quorum, and so I'd rather have our standards reflect what we actually do, which is some months we don't have a meeting. It's not a state statute or local ordinance that requires us to have that meeting. It was just something that was in our standards. So I'd rather have it reflect what we actually do. So that's why I changed it to schedule one regular meeting per month. Then I'm going to scroll down. I had a couple of other comments I wanted to share. So if we go to section 2, which is on page 4, disciplinary process, I put a little blurb in there under A, applicability, that explains that the Fire Merit Commission handles any and all disciplinary actions. I just thought, we aren't always going to be the ones who are in these positions, and somebody comes along later on in life, they may wonder why on earth we don't do that. This is a quick, easy explanation. Yes?
Unless the merit commission is in their rules that they can recuse themselves if they, and then is that.
It's all true. That's all true, but I'm not explaining
Okay.
that in here. That's-
Okay.
Yeah, so, that is a good point, though. And now you're making me question myself, so. There may be a far more accurate way to explain that, but at the moment, I'm just simply saying that fire merit does.
Primary duties, it
Yeah.
could be secondary or something else.
Yeah.
So,
So what she's referring to is the merit commission can actually ask this board to do the disciplinary actions. I don't know why they would choose to not do their job, but they could ask, so they can ask for somebody else to do their investigating, they can ask somebody else to be the judiciary board that reviews it. So they could ask some independent party, or they could ask this board to do that. If they do ask you to do that, you're simply going to be following the Merit Commission's rules. So I still think this is probably the best way to explain it for now. Sort of the bright line rule is we expect the Merit Commission to do their job. I would be really shocked for us to have gone through all of this effort to get a Merit Commission only for them to decide that you're going to do what they've been asked to do. So I'm hopeful that
Yeah.
if I continue to be the attorney for the Merit Commission, I'm going to strongly encourage them not to do that. So I'd like to see them actually do their job.
I could only see if it would be if there was a conflict.
There could be some kind of a
If they were-
conflict, yeah.
Yeah, they knew the individual
The-
personally or.
And that's
Yeah.
probably, you know, but that's the interesting rationale here is that two of the members of the Merit Commission are members of the fire, are former members of the fire.
They can be,
Yeah,
but they're
they
not
are
right
not.
now.
Yeah,
They are just our representatives that were elected by the department, so
that's right.
they could.
So there could be some that they know, so there could be some conflict. All right, scrolling down further, I wanted to make a few other comments. Going down to page 9 in section 3, it referenced, that title is complaints against sworn police officers and members of the fire department. These are complaints from the public. So, in those instances, this simply refers to the rules and regulations of each department, and the departments follow their rules and regulations for complaints coming from the public. And I've gone ahead and referenced, I've kept the Bloomington Fire Department in there just because it doesn't harm us to have it in there. It still goes through the fire department's rules and regulations, which will usher everything to the Merit Commission, if there is discipline being merited or meted out as a result of the complaint. So that's why that's still in there. And then with section 4, personnel matters, I went ahead and left the references. It says following documents are hereby incorporated into these standards as if fully set forth herein. And I do have the fire department's rules and regs and general orders and things like that in there. I'm just leaving them in there because you all might decide that the experiment of having a Merit Commission is a giant, horrible experience and you want to come back. So I'd rather just leave all of this in here as opposed to having to plug it all back in later. It's just me being lazy. But I don't think it's confusing because we are always going to be beholden to the standards and orders that the department does create, whether it relates to personnel or not. All right, scrolling down a little further, I don't think I have any other comments. Everything else I thought was pretty self-explanatory, but I'll open it up to the board. If there are any things that you wanted to talk to me about with regards to these standards as a board as a whole, as opposed to me sending out individual emails and having those sidebar conversations. Well, I would then ask the board to
Motion.
make a motion and hopefully approve the updated amended standards.
Can I get a motion to approve the City of Bloomington Board of Public Safety Standards effective August 21st, 2025?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes.
Thank you. I'll get a clean version of this out to all board members and the departments and staff, just as soon as I have a chance to sit down and do that. Thank you.
And any other new business?
I'd just be interested in what the two departments are seeing after the arrests in Seminary and down by Crawford Homes. Has that activity moved?
So some of the dealing stopped. It moved to kind of like around the park. But we also did another drug investigation down on Crawford where we took several people into custody. Crawford is
experience its own problems. So we saw a little bit of, it cleaned up a little bit, but it's still there.
I have a question. I know we started using tasers again within the last year or so. I don't know for sure. I was wondering how that was going, and are you deployed very often?
They're defining deployment as, if you define deployment as tasers drawn,
That's what I would think.
without probes actually being launched. They are used that way. We had a Tuesday, as an example, we assisted county with somebody that was actively resisting. When our officer got out, he pulled his taser, gave what's called a warning alert, makes a loud sound, and it de-escalated that. So we get that often. I think in the first year, we're still under probably 20 actual total probes launched, and understanding that like more than one probe is like it's a minimum of 2. So we have not had a lot of actual contacts with them, but we've had several de-escalations with them where just their presence has caused people to de-escalate.
I just wondered if I've heard on the times, I think it was in Mississippi, where these little departments had no training with them at all, and they would say, I used it once, but then actually they're using it 6 or 7 times on, little old ladies or something.
Yeah, so we follow TASER's best practices, which is every officer goes through a recert annually with it, which is a full 8-hour class. They actually do a full 8-hour class, which includes scenario-based training, so they have to make decisions on escalation, de-escalation, and along with actual like a qualification course of like being able to accurately use it. And in our policy, we have a strict policy about recording the number of times that it's energized. And that's actually all recorded through the system. So I can pull up anybody's taser and be able to say, you energized it this many times, you did this many draws. It tells you literally everything that they do with it.
And the little cities of Mississippi didn't know they had that ability, and the New York Times had to buy them a doohickey so they could read the reports off the taser, which I found amazing.
Yeah, we even have the new simulator system that we bought is from Axon. It integrates scenario-based training with the tasers, so we put a lot of time and effort into it. Yeah.
I figured you'd have more than these little cities.
Yeah.
So I know I've got a tiny little window on this, but I've had 3 or 4 folks in the last month talk about the great job you guys do with de-escalation. So thank you.
On the tasers, during the initial training, do they actually get shocked by the taser?
We do not.
My department did.
Yeah.
It was enlightening.
Yeah, that is
No pun intended.
yeah, that is Taser took that out of the training program, well, before we got them, so it'd been a couple years. Now, if somebody wants to do a voluntary exposure, they can do that training, and I think we've had one person that's opted to do that.
Why?
So,
I've got some folks I would recommend.
yeah. But we don't put them through the exposure necessarily. I mean, there's just so much video out there now that everybody understands what the outcome is of using the device.
Our big complaint was, when you gave us a gun, you didn't shoot us with it.
Exactly, yeah. Any other OC spray, you still do that exposure in the academy, but that's sort of that is a necessary one because of OC spray gets everywhere. You need to know what that physical effect is. But yeah, no other, if you're issued a beanbag or some other we don't hit you with your baton, so yeah, it's a little silly to do it.
I'm glad they changed that.
Yes.
All right, any other new business? Any petitions, communications, anybody? No? All right, this meeting is adjourned.